Mark Carney's Brookfield accused of dodging $6.5 billion in taxes. A revelation in Parliament this week has pulled Mark Carney's quote-unquote former firm, Brookfield Asset Management, into the light, not for its investments, but for its missing taxes. Testimony before the Ethics Committee confirmed Brookfield paid $6.5 billion less than it would have under Canada's standard corporate rate between 2017 and 2021. The data came from Canadians for Tax Fairness and the Toronto Star, which found Brookfield had the largest tax gap in the country. While there can be lawful reasons for paying less, an expert told MPs this was a major underpayment that should have financed public services. The irony is rich. Carney built his career preaching fiscal prudence while leading a firm that dodged it. Ottawa raises taxes on working Canadians, then turns a blind eye as insiders avoid them. Brookfield's tax gap isn't just a number, it's proof of a system rigged to reward those who write the rules. So why are ordinary Canadians audited for a few $100s while billion-dollar firms skate free?
Well, you kind of said the answer. The system's rigged to reward those who write the rules.
Mm-hmm.
You can't separate corporate elite and political elite. You can't. They're one and the same. And they switch sides. They go in and out. It's like you look at people in the United States that are the head of the FDA. Now they're all some sort of advisor or head of something for Pfizer or Moderna or some other medical pharma company, right? They just change positions. You pay your dues and you jump back out. Whereas Carney's literally from this company. Literally the company he came from was the one we're talking about that dodged all the taxes. Now it's his turn to run the political show. So he's in there. He's going to do his thing, make sure everybody still gets paid, then hop back out. Then someone else is going to jump in. So this whole thing's calculated and orchestrated. You can't run big business internationally at this scale with these kinds of shareholders and the people that are the amount of power that these people have. They know they can't just have some random Wild West prime minister or president in place where they can do whatever they want to shake things up. That's what's so unique about the US, right? Because that is what Trump is doing. He's really disturbing the status quo in the corporate world, right? But here, we're under a lot more control here, like most of the West. I think most of the East as well. I think most of the world. I think you have to get outside of first world nations really to see where places are a little more Wild West, for lack of a better term. So what you're seeing here is just the system at play, right? They put these rules in place. They get to keep their money. And you ask why are Canadians audited for a few $100s? Well, it's all about control. You can't have people running around making money and not paying taxes on it because then you don't have control over your citizens and your people. And if you think about this, I was talking about this with someone the other day. You and I look at a lot of things that oppress Canadians, whatever. And we think about it in terms of freedom, primarily. Because realistically, I just want the world to be a meritocracy where you can try to go make your way. But the thing is, they put all these things in place that stop you from actually being able to get there. And now if you think about it from our perspective, you look at Bill C, you look at all the online streaming act, online news act, you look at the Bill C9, C8, the ones, the internet killer, the online harms bill that's coming back. You look at all these things. And so that's a very strong censorship apparatus. So that stops you from expressing yourself. So it's a control mechanism, essentially, but also from our perspective, it also hurts our business, right? So there's a lot of these little things that are worked, they're permeated through society. There's policy and legislation, no matter where you look, there's policy and legislation that is kind of holding us down, right? But a lot of that is secondary to the big one, economics. If they control you economically, that's really how you control your citizens. If we have to work until past mid-year to actually be able to, for our tax freedom day, to actually make money for ourselves, what does that tell you? It tells you you're under complete control by your government. More than half your money is going to this bacteria that is just draining society, right? But the thing is, they give you the sort of illusion of choice, and then you're under complete economic control. So that's why they have to continue to audit people for a few $100s. That's why they have to keep, if they don't have economic control over mass society, they don't have control over anything. Because all the other things we can kind of work around, but economics, you just can't.
Yeah. And when it comes to this as well, I actually don't even have that big of an issue with the fact that you're using offshore tax havens and stuff. And obviously, as the article is pointing this out, a lot of this is probably done even legally. But the issue for me is that it's the same people that are then raising the taxes on ordinary Canadians that don't have the luxury of being able to offshore their money. And so, I mean, we've even seen it. The Fraser Institute did a did a study on the effective tax rate. So balancing what people pay in versus what they get out.
Yeah.
And then they found that Canadians making $30,000 to $60,000 get hit the hardest. And you go, that's the group you say everything is for. And so if they're getting hit the hardest, then this is where I have an issue, because you can't sit here and say, Carney just said this like a week or two ago. He said Canadians need to pay their fair share. You can't say that. You can't tell the average Canadian they need to make more sacrifices when you haven't been making those sacrifices.
Oh, I agree.
And this just goes to like a fundamental aspect of leadership. And, places I've managed before and all of this kind of stuff. I know that there's probably a few people that, feel like I would never like have outbursts or like really like lay into people, but I had rules and I would constantly let people know if they were not meeting those standards. But never would you see me cut short on one of those standards.
Right.
It was in my mind every single day where I'm like, I cannot ask people to do these things if I'm not doing them myself.
Yeah, you're not hypocritical.
That's this entire governance system.
Yes.
It's like, what are you talking about? Even you look at, this is something I just started digging into yesterday after somebody kind of sent me a tip on it. But so I got to dive deeper even yet. But dude, all of the public pension funds do the same thing. They all offshore money.
Yeah, 100%.
So you take our taxes, and then the public fund or the public sector people take our taxes, offshore them so they can bolster their future pensions.
Yes.
And you go, sorry? Like, if you are relying on our taxes, you do not get to skirt the tax system.
Yeah, it's exactly how it works, man. This is the problem you have, is it's completely hypocritical, but then you go back to how this whole thing is controlled. They go, well, it's in a blind trust. So then you ask any liberal and any boomer, pretty much any boomer. I know some are listening to us. They don't see it the same way, but the majority of boomers and anybody who's a liberal, and they go, it's in a blind trust. He doesn't have any idea what's going on. It's completely above board. That's not him. He didn't do, like, they'll find some way to do mental gymnastics, or they don't have any information because of what they're fed through the media. You know what I mean? So it's either the media manipulates, or they put in some soft rule like, oh, it's a blind trust. Give me a break. The two people that are tapped into what's going on are close to Carney, and he's got no idea what's happening. Come on. Plus, he knows exactly what he already owned.
It is crazy the cognitive dissonance some of these people can display. Like, I saw when we made a post about this, posted this story on our socials. I saw a couple. Now, I really struggle with this, because knowing how much of the internet is bots, I go, is this just like a Liberal Party bot farm? I'm sure the Conservative Party also has bots of their own, or at least pays firms to, or whatever. But anyways, I saw this response to that post about Carney or Brookfield skipping out on $6.5 billion in taxes. And somebody was like, well, it was all legal, and at least you need to learn the difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance and all of this kind of stuff. And so they're like lecturing me for essentially taking an issue with this. And I'm thinking, you guys are the ones that run around talking about tax the billionaires all the time.
Yes.
Like, constantly being like, oh, corporations are out of control. They're not paying their fair share and this and that. And then on a dime, when they're wearing a freaking liberal sweater, you're like,
you spin.
Yeah. Hey, no. Learn the difference between, you're just like, what?
Well, this is the problem, right? This is what I find with politics. And this is, I have to give the political parties and the media a lot of credit for, is logic is up here. You operate in a position of logic with your brain. You usually find the right answer if you're intelligent enough, and you push a lot of things that are emotional to the side. You just get to the core, you're objective. And then you get to the emotional part of your brain, which is below it. And the reality is, in the political sphere, they've managed to get the large majority of society to live in the emotional part of their mind when it comes to politics. They over associate. It's like a sports team. They just become so aligned, and their identity becomes so hardened in being a part of this political party that they don't use logic anymore. It's just all emotion. It's actually pretty impressive what they've done. So that's what happens. People just get into this headspace of, I'm going to do mental gymnastics because this is my team. I'm going to throw logic out the window, and I'm going to find a way to continue believing what I believe, because I don't want to challenge my own set of beliefs or challenge my own identity. this is where this comes from.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, there was a German political theorist in the who was born in the late 1800s, and his name is Carl Schmitt, and he came up with the friend-enemy distinction, which was the foundational concept in his political theory, asserting that the essence of the political lies in the division between friend and enemy. This distinction is existential and public, not private or personal, arising when two collective groups confront each other with the potential for violent conflict. So he's just saying this politics game is just finding friends and enemies. That's it.
Yes.
And there's no gray zone there. Like if somebody is labeled an enemy, destroy them. If somebody's on a friend, destroy your enemies with them.
Right.
But like you can see this like crazy where, okay, so you see liberal people in Canada, like Liberal Party members and voters switching on a dime when it comes to taxes and such when it's Carney doing it. But then even too, we saw this crazy example of this down in the States recently. Did you see that Democratic senator that was running who was found to have Nazi symbols tattooed on him?
Yes.
And then I saw a very prominent left-wing commentator say, I'd rather because the Republican candidate they were running against was I guess, pro-Israel. And so she said, how did she say it? She said, I'd rather vote for somebody that has a Nazi symbol tattooed on them than somebody who has steadfastly supported a genocide. And you go, well, okay, those two things, wait, if somebody's a Nazi, then whatever. But then you scroll back, 6 months or so, and you see them losing their freaking mind over the Elon Musk like fake salute, essentially.
Of course.
And that is the friend-enemy distinction in play, where there's zero principle, there's zero logic, there's zero rationale. It's just, are you on my team? If so, yay, I'll support anything you do. If you're on another team, I'm trying to destroy you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll cap off by saying this. Given where the majority of people operate from when working in this space, I just don't see how we correct course at scale. I don't know how we can do it.
It's just, it's an if thing. Like, I think people imagine that you come across and you put a policy in place that corrects course. It's like, if you just look at the pendulum of history, it swings, it's constantly swinging. It never solidifies. And so I think it's inevitable that it's going to change course, but it's just, when and how long does that take? I
mean, foundationally, the individuals. I mean, like getting people to actually operate from a position of, let's be logical now. Like, it's such a crux of the political space that I don't think people at scale will ever just use logic the way we do, which is nice. I mean, the people that are listening to us, the things that we say, there is a reasonable number of us that do this. But again, I think by and large, I would say large majority just don't do it. And until you do, it's very hard to actually find compromise and balance. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the Orwellian doublethink idea, right? Like holding two contradictory beliefs in believing them to be true.
Yeah.
And I think we all have that to some degree, but it's, are you willing to part ways with those contradictory beliefs once you realize that?
Yes.
But then the people that I think have, solidified in their mind, they're like, no, I operate in this space now. This is me.
Yes.
Then, I don't have much faith that those people are ever coming back.